What if boredom isn't about your environment, but about how your mind is wired to experience it? Think about it. Two people sit in the same room. Same silence. Same conditions. One feels restless within minutes, reaching for their phone, needing stimulation. The other, completely at ease, observing, thinking, engaged, without anything happening. So what's the difference? Why do some people get bored easily while others almost never do? Let's break down the psychology behind people who rarely or never feel bored. First, they have a rich inner world. People who don't get bored easily are often deeply engaged with their own thoughts. They reflect, imagine, analyze, connect ideas. Their mind isn't dependent on external entertainment, because internally, there's always something happening. Psychologically, this is linked to high cognitive engagement. Instead of needing constant input, they generate their own mental stimulation. A quiet moment for them isn't empty, it's space. Second, they find meaning in small things. Some people need big experiences to feel alive. Others can find meaning in the smallest details, a conversation, a pattern, a simple task. People who don't get bored tend to have a heightened sense of curiosity. They ask questions. They observe deeply. They notice things others overlook. And that changes everything. Because boredom often comes from disconnection. But when you're mentally connected to what's in front of you, even ordinary moments feel interesting. Third, they're comfortable being alone. For many, boredom shows up the moment they're alone. No distractions, no noise, just themselves. And that can feel uncomfortable. But people who rarely get bored have built a different relationship with solitude. They don't see it as emptiness, they see it as freedom. A chance to think, reset, explore ideas, or simply exist without pressure. Psychologically, this reflects emotional independence. They're not constantly seeking external engagement to escape themselves. Fourth, they have low dependency on instant stimulation. In today's world, we're trained for constant dopamine, scrolling, notifications, short-form content. And the more we rely on quick stimulation, the less tolerance we have for stillness. People who don't get bored easily tend to have a higher tolerance for low-stimulation environments. They're not addicted to constant input. So their brain doesn't panic when things slow down. Instead, it adapts, and in that slower pace, they find depth. Fifth, they engage deeply, not widely. Many people jump from one thing to another, quickly losing interest, but those who don't get bored often do the opposite. They go deeper. Whether it's a hobby, a topic, or a task, they immerse themselves fully. And depth creates engagement. Because when you explore something deeply enough, it becomes complex, layered, and mentally rewarding. Boredom thrives on surface-level attention. But depth keeps the mind alive. Sixth, they're not afraid of repetition. Here's something interesting. Most people associate repetition with boredom, but psychologically, repetition can also create mastery, rhythm, even peace. People who don't get bored often learn to find variation within repetition. They notice subtle differences, improve small details, stay present in the process. Instead of asking, "Why am I doing this again?" they ask, "What can I see this time that I missed before?" That shift in perception changes the entire experience. Seventh, they have a growth-oriented mindset. At the core of it all, people who rarely get bored tend to see life as something to explore, not just endure. They're learning, evolving, questioning. Even in quiet or routine moments, their mind is engaged in some form of growth. And when your focus is growth, boredom has less space to exist. Because there's always something to understand, improve, or discover. Now here's the deeper insight most people miss. Boredom isn't just about having nothing to do. It's about not being mentally or emotionally engaged with what you're doing. And that engagement doesn't come from the outside. It comes from how you perceive, process, and interact with the world. So the real difference isn't, some people have more interesting lives. It's this. Some people have more engaged minds. They don't wait for stimulation. They create it. Through curiosity. Through attention, through presence. And here's the powerful part. This isn't something you're born with or without. It's something you can train. by reducing your dependence on constant distraction, by allowing your mind to sit in stillness. By learning to observe, think, and engage more deeply, you slowly rebuild your ability to experience life without needing it to constantly entertain you. Now let me ask you something honestly. When you feel bored, do you think it's because your environment lacks stimulation or because your mind has become dependent on it? And what do you usually do in that moment? Write your answer in the comments. I read them, and I genuinely want to understand your perspective. And if this helped you see boredom and your mind from a completely new angle, subscribe for more deep insights into human psychology and behavior that most people never notice.